Hello, my name is Deborah Gonzalez, and I'm going to be your faculty for this next course, and you are in for a treat. This course is called Looking Through the Looking Glass, the Digital Legal Horizon for Solo Practitioners. You know, I've done previous courses on intellectual property and social media, but I've really been looking at what's going on with my clients and the industry, all of this new technology, all of these apps. Where is it taking us as attorneys, as legal practitioners? Where is it taking us as people, as individuals and members of a society? Where are we going in terms of what our client needs are going to be because of all of these changes? So I put together this very unique course to take a look at those issues from the legal standpoint, but also to make sure that we know as solo practitioners how important it is for us. So you do have a handout just so that we can go through this brief introduction and you can be sort of in mind of what's going to happen for the next 6 sessions as we go and explore this very fascinating topic, looking at some of the future of our technology and apps in our legal profession. So as always, we begin with a disclaimer. All of the things that we discuss in this course, as well as the other courses, are only for general educational purposes. Should not be construed as legal advice, especially as we're talking about things that may happen in the future. So I'm going to put out some of my thoughts, and I hope that you'll join me and be part of the conversation about these things that I put out there and what you're seeing in your practice and whether these two things are mixing together. So I look forward to seeing that. So let's take a look at an overview of the course. And basically what we want to look at is we want to look at the new technology. We want to look at some of the new legal practice models that are out there and what may come in the future. We're going to be taking a look also, because of all this technology and apps and everything that's going on, there are some new legal practice areas that are coming up, and you might want to get involved in some of those if you haven't already been dragged kicking and screaming by your clients. We're going to look at some new competition in terms of what's going to happen against us as solo practitioners, and then also take a look at the idea of new client expectations because of all of these new changes out there in the legal environment. So the first thing, when we talk about new technology, we're going to be looking at things like apps, the advent of mobile, how everything is going mobile. Just take out your smartphone, right? Cloud computing, something that is not that new and actually been with us for a while, but we're going to see how it may change in the future and how that will affect us and our legal practice. The whole, abundance of tablets and e-readers, from the Nook to the iPad to the Samsung. I mean, there's just all of these options out there, and then how these options actually integrate with the rest of your devices that you may be using already in your legal profession. Okay, as well as what does 4G mean, and is there any difference in that from what we've had before, and should we be concerned about it in terms of our legal practice? We'll take a look at that question as well. But new technology even goes further in exploring, well, where our clients may need us to be looking at. So things like wearable buyer senses and digital clothing, or even the Google Glass, those glasses that have been advertised that sort of record everything that the wearer is looking at. What is going on with those types of technologies? How do they affect our issues of privacy as well as intellectual property? So we'll be taking a look at those. And then some sort of non-standard types of technology that some of us may be using but definitely will be seeing in the future, things like QR codes, avatars, and even robots. So stay tuned for that lesson. Okay. The second area we're going to be looking at are some new legal practice models. Now, some of these you maybe have heard about, some of them you may even have seen or seen a session on them through Solo Practice University, but I think it's really important to really examine them and see what do they mean for us as solo practitioners, what do they mean for our clients, okay? So things like virtual law firms, contract production houses, outsourcing to India and other countries all of these type of transactional legal services and legal research. Supplemental legal income projects. It's not only the case where attorneys just have to work with one client or just on a case, but may actually be part of a team working on different projects that have come up. And that leads us to new legal practice areas. So not only do we have different ways of practicing the law, but now there are new areas of practice of law. Social media law, emerging media law, technology law has expanded in ways that we've never seen before. Things like digital asset protection and even digital legacy protection for both our clients as well as ourselves, for businesses as well as individuals. And we also need to take a look at what are some of the new competitions that are out there against us solo practitioners. Things like prepaid legal services. So you might have heard of Legal Shield, or the do-it-yourself phenomenon now when we have these online contract databases like LegalZoom where individuals can go and just purchase or download a contract. What does that mean for the clients, and what does that mean for us? And as well, non-lawyer legal professionals. There's been sort of a movement starting off with a reform in the law schools and the idea that maybe we only need 2 years of law school, 1 year, get the students out there, internships, let them learn it, right? I always say you learn to drive a car once you have your license, and you really learn to practice law once you're actually out there and have passed the bar and open up your shingle, right? So maybe that 3rd year of internships is not such a bad thing. But there's also a movement to have individuals be able to assist clients with different legal matters just before they get to that border of practicing the law, right, or the unauthorized practice of law. So we're going to be taking a look at this phenomenon of non-lawyer legal professionals as well. And last, we're going to take a look at new client expectations because of all this technology. It was funny. I went to a client meeting and the first thing they asked was, "Where's your iPad?" And it was an expectation from them that because I work so much in social media and technology law, that I would have the most up-to-date tools and gadgets and toys. Well, the truth was that day I just wanted to do low tech, a pen and a piece of paper. I didn't want to carry around the iPad and the laptop and the smartphone. But what I learned is that our clients expect us, because we are attorneys and because they believe that we are highly educated and on top of everything, they expect us to know this stuff and they expect us to be able to then advise them with it. So what I say now is, where's your laptop? Mine's is always in my purse from this moment forward. Also, clients are expecting us to communicate a lot quicker with them. You might have been, text messaged by your client, or you might have even found a client through Twitter and have started a Twitter conversation, direct messaging with them. And there's all new ways that our clients are really reaching out to us, and which means also that their expectation is that we are going to respond a lot quicker and we're going to be accessible almost 24/7. So managing client expectations is going to be really important, but first we need to know what those expectations are, including the expectation of our clients that we're going to be quick and that we're going to be accurate. We're going to know what we're talking about when it comes to these issues of technology and social media law and apps and mobile and all of that stuff. So it's really important that we get ourselves up to date. And because of that, right, and that leads us to this sort of dilemma as solo practitioners. How do we keep up with everything? I mean, we want to. We know we need to keep up with this stuff because, number one, some of these apps can really make us more efficient, more organized. It can save us time. Some of them can even save us money in terms of the productivity tools that we use in our office, which means that if we can save time and money, we may also be able to step away from our practice and enjoy some rest and relaxation. And that's always difficult to do as a solo practitioner because we know if we're not in the office, we're not going to be able to make any money, right? And so being able to use this technology efficiently also will let us to go on that vacation without our devices and guilt-free, or at least we hope, right? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the courses. There's 6 sessions in this course. Lesson 1 is about digital identity. We're going to begin with the person, both ourselves as a solo practitioner, as well as the person of our client. We're going to look at the physical, the digital, and the legal definitions and what all of these definitions of identity are going to be bringing up in terms of legal issues for us to be aware of. Our lesson 2 then expands to encompass the digital society. So we started with the person, now we're going to go into society. And when we're talking about society, we're going to be looking at relationships, right? Cultural, corporate, and the legal ramifications of those relationships. Because as you know, in law, when we talk about relationships, we always talk about what? Duty. Okay, so we're going to be looking at that in lesson 2. Lesson 3 then looks specifically at digital law, the new client, the new attorney, these new practice models and practice areas that I mentioned before. So we started with the person, then the community, and then the legal profession of how we're going to service that community and the legal issues that come up there, as well as some ethical issues that we need to be aware of as solo practitioners. Lesson 4, we move into digital knowledge, everything from printing, e-publishing, digital rights, the future of higher education, and what might be some of the legal concerns that we need to be aware of as solo practitioners for ourselves, but also for our clients. So think of this online CLE, right, that you're doing with me, and this course in Solo Practice University, and other types of webinars and seminars in different levels, different industries, different professions, trying to reap the benefits of this technology and what may it mean in the legal environment. Then lesson 5 is going to delve into digital health, physical, genetic, medical, and legal. There's a lot of things happening in terms of the digital health movement, and it's really important for us to understand some of these little laws that may seem to be so niche and specialized, like the Anti-Genetic Discrimination Act. How many of you heard that we even had that? Most people don't even know that there's an Anti-Genetic Discrimination Act. But these things are important for us to know, especially if you may have a client who might have a disability, might get into a situation of workers' compensation. There are definitely things here that as solo practitioners we need to know about and be aware of for us and our clients. And then the last class, because we can't forget the money, right? So lesson 6 is about digital money. We're going to look at currency, banking, future financial legalities. I mean, things like Bitcoin. Have you heard of Bitcoin? It's a new online currency, and then all of a sudden now the U.S. government has says, well, we're going to put the anti-laundering laws on top of this Bitcoin, and you're going to find out a little bit later on in our session why that became such a big issue, and why these kinds of internet currency have to be so carefully regulated, and that really have to work within a regulated framework. So that's going to be really interesting. So just keep your e-wallet close at hand, okay? Now, another thing that I've sort of made a little bit different from my other classes is that I'm offering you a course film list. So this is a great excuse to have those Fridays or Saturdays or even a mid-afternoon break in your office and be able to view some of these movies. I've picked the movies because, number one, they relate to an issue that we are going to be speaking about. So they give a visual representation of what this topic might look like, okay? Or number 2, it brings up an issue that we should be looking at because it is on its way here. You know, it's really interesting when they talk about science fiction, how much science actually has become reality from those fictional tales. And so here we're going to be looking at that. So a couple of the films that are in your list, you have this in your handout. Gattaca, it stars Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. It's a 1997 movie. It's a great movie. But if you get the DVD, not only do I want you to watch the movie, but in the special bonus features, they have a little snippet of people who would not exist if all babies were genetically engineered, and that would include people such as Einstein. So our world would be very, very different. And I think that's an interesting one. Surrogates with Bruce Willis. Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams. Artificial intelligence. Now, this was directed by Steven Spielberg. It's from 2001, and it's really amazing. Now that we're here in the 2010s, just some of the realities that we see from that movie and what's going on right now. The movie In Time with Justin Timberlake. Now, this is a 2011 movie, and it's really interesting because it talks about the concept that, you know what, time really is money. Time is the wealth and the currency that will be used in this utopian society that they present in this movie. So it's a great little movie. Johnny Mnemonic by Keanu Reeves, 1995, really interesting, explores the idea of just how far you can take the human body in terms of integrating it with computers. And we talk about in one of my previous courses, I talk about the idea of immortality or digital immortality and saving the essence of who we are or downloading our brain. So that's an interesting movie for that. Minority Report with Tom Cruise, a 2002 movie, looks at just how far legal enforcement may go with some of this technology. And I think it's an interesting cautionary tale considering right now we have so many legal enforcements and law officers and departments that are being set up just to deal with technology, online, social media, and all of those issues. So I think that's a really important movie just to understand some of the topics and the issues that they have out there. Hackers with Angelina Jolie. This is a 1995 movie, and it relates to security and passwords, and I think it's really important for us to keep that in mind. And the last one is Avatar, that stars Sigourney Weaver, 2009. I know they're supposed to be coming out with an Avatar 2. We'll see when that does. But I think Avatar is interesting because, again, it looks at some of the medical applications of technology, and again, that sort of interlacing of the human body and computer and artificial limbs and things of that nature. So I just think for those things they'll be important, and these movies will sort of give you some context for some of the items that I'm going to be talking about. I might relate to them, and at least this way okay, so that's what Deborah's talking about. Now it makes sense. Okay, so here we go. We are going to be going through the looking glass, and we're going to boldly go where no solo practitioner has gone before, but we're in for a bumpy ride because nothing is set in stone. That's what makes this so exciting and why I'm going to be waiting and anxious to have your interaction in the conversations on this. And so, if you're a Matrix fan like me, what do you want to take? The blue pill or the red pill? See you in lesson 1.